Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to SAMCEDA's 70th annual meeting. My name is Sherri Sager, and I'm the chair of the board of SAMCEDA. And for those of you who've come to this event before, you know I tend to go off script. So Rosanne didn't even give me a script this year. But I also want to welcome you to the kickoff for my month of celebrating my 70th birthday, which will occur later this month. So thank you all for helping me celebrate. On a more serious note, isn't it great to be back in person and celebrating not only SAMCEDA, but San Mateo County and its extraordinary leadership, business, education, nonprofit, labor, health, community, and government. All of these sectors came together the past 3 years plus and worked as a unified community together to beat back COVID. Everyone worked hard to make sure that no one in San Mateo County was left behind, and I'm not really sure how many other counties can say that. So give yourselves all a great big hand because it's all of you. And one of those extraordinary leaders in this battle the last 3.5 years was SAMCEDA's own CEO, Rosanne Foust. And Rosanne, where are you? Rosanne's also just celebrated her 15th anniversary at SAMCEDA. And speaking for myself, and I think the board, we are so glad that she chose SAMCEDA 15 years ago. So Rosanne, thank you. But she's only one half of the dynamic duo at SAMCEDA. And I also want to recognize Larissa Ocañada. They are both outstanding, and together, they're unstoppable. I also want to thank the San Mateo County Events Center and all of the staff who are helping today. Isn't this a wonderful venue? And let's give them all a round of applause. Okay, I'm now up to slide 3, believe it or not. So we actually aren't going to introduce everybody, but on the screen you will see the names of all of the board members for SAMCEDA. And I'd like to ask all of the board members that are here to please stand. It's an outstanding board. That I have been so very privileged to work with. And moving to the next slide, we're also not going to introduce everybody by name, but everybody's name is on here. So all of the elected officials that are here, if you could please stand so we can recognize you. And on the next slide, I know that sometimes our legislative officials can't be here in the middle of the week because they're either in Sacramento or Washington voting the way we'd like them to be there doing their job, but they've sent representatives. So if you work for Congressman Mullen or Congresswoman Eshoo or State Senator, Josh Becker, State Assembly Member Mark Berman, or State Senator Phil Ting or Scott Wiener, or I'm sure, Assemblywoman Diane Pappen, which is why I shouldn't be naming folks, because this is when you forget somebody. But please stand and be recognized. And we also want to thank all of those representatives who have done proclamations that SAMCEDA has received for our 70th anniversary. So we're going to skip slide 7 because this is where I went off script. And I've already thanked everybody who have been our members and our partners. But actually, I'm not going to go totally off. I want us to thank all of the members, because SAMCEDA wouldn't be the organization it is without all of the members. And where other organizations might be losing members, we're still growing. And that's thanks to all of you. So thank you all who are members of SAMCEDA. And now this is something that I didn't think I was going to ever get to say. You know, one of the things you learn, don't cut deals with Rosanne, because they often don't have end dates. So years ago, I wanted to hire Diana Batista, who was working for Rosanne, and I called Rosanne up and asked her if I could steal her away. And she said I could on one condition, and that was that I agreed to become chair of the board. Diana, how long have you been working with me now? 8 years, yeah. So we did both win. So it gives me great pleasure to introduce the incoming chair of the board, Ariane Hogan, who is Genentech's Director of State and Local Government Affairs. Ariane.
Yeah, you can't go that far.
I know.
Okay, yeah, it's time. All right, so first of all, welcome. Thank you for coming. Good afternoon. I know it is a little bit late on a Tuesday, but it is amazing to see so many faces out here, albeit somewhat shaded because there's lots of light going on right now. So my name is Ariane Hogan. I am the incoming chair, and I have very big shoes, loafers specifically, to fill. But before we go any further in our program, I really felt it was important to take a moment to acknowledge Sherri and all the work that she's done in support of SAMCEDA and the county. She has been an amazing board chair. She leads with heart, she leads with compassion, she leads with knowledge and data. I am always impressed whenever I'm in a meeting with her and she's like, yeah, you know, this program over here is doing this and this legislation over here is doing Y. And I'm like, what am I doing here? Because she knows everything, she knows everyone, she is immensely respected. It's one of the first things that I learned when I joined the board. So thank you for being an amazing board chair, an amazing champion and leader of our organization. You have been a mentor and a supporter for the board and the staff. You have been the same for our members and the same for the stakeholders in the community as well. And I know you're going to continue that work. We were just talking about that, so she's not going that far. Finally, I want to say thank you. I am grateful, and we are all grateful for the time that you have committed to SAMCEDA, for the kindness you have shown, and most of all, your commitment to not only SAMCEDA, but to San Mateo County. You have allowed SAMCEDA to become a strong voice for an inclusive and a resilient San Mateo County economy. So I really want to thank you. I am immensely humbled that I get to follow your work and terrified as well.
You will be fine.
But it's all good. Thank you very much.
Thank you. What Ariane didn't add to that, but the board members know, I will be retiring from Stanford Children's Health in January. So this is really, I'm really moved. Thank you all very much.
These are you. Very, very good. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, so now's the time where we're going to acknowledge our sponsors. We could not do events like this without you. So if you are a platinum sponsor, would you please stand and be recognized? I'm not going to go through everyone because, like Sherri said, you always end up forgetting someone, but it should be, you can read the names that are listed on the slide ahead of you. Is anyone, platinum sponsors, are you here? Are you standing? Yeah, hello. Thank you. Okay, next we are going to recognize our signature sponsors. Come on, you guys can do better than platinum. Let's go. Thank you for your sponsorship and your support. Corporate sponsors. And of course, our community sponsors. Please stand, be recognized. Awesome. Oh, there's so many of you. That's great. Okay. And I think I want to thank all of you, our host as well. Thank you very much to the San Mateo County Event Center for allowing us to host this event in this wonderful venue. I think we're going to have a lot of fun tonight. But without further ado, I'm going to introduce our fearless leader, Rosanne Foust. You all know who she is, right?
All right, folks, I really need a little more enthusiasm for our chair, both now and in the future. And I want to hear it for our sponsors. We can't do this and what we do without all of our sponsors. So all of you collectively, stand up again. It's all of you. Get up and thank you. I promise there are really special things to come for this evening. But what I wanted to do was take just a moment to give you the history of THRED Talks. Why did we start it in 2016? And what does THRED stand for? THRED initially stood for transportation, housing, regionalism, economy, and development. But it has since morphed into way more than that. It is about resilience. It's about equity. It is about determination. And it is about getting things done. And THRED Talks was designed to weave us all together. Because as we've learned over the last 3 years, there is absolutely no way that we could have survived and thrived after the last 3 years if we weren't all together. So give yourself a round of applause. You are going to hear from some amazing leaders in our community today as they give you their story. And it was very interesting because I had conversations with each of them. And I said, please, this is a very friendly crowd. These are your supporters. These are our members. And they will welcome you and be very excited to hear your story. This isn't my story. This is their story. And this is about weaving the best county, San Mateo County, together. So let's hear it for our first speaker, Doug Fleming and Marley Mueller. They are representing a very long-time member of very old Redwood City company, BKF. Doug and Marley, come on up.
Thanks, Rosanne. Hello, SAMCEDA.
All right.
I always wanted to do that. All right.
Okay,
You going to start? Okay,
yeah,
I'll start.
sorry,
You
it's hard
start.
to
You
see.
start. Okay.
Hi, good afternoon. Good afternoon. My name is Marley Mueller, and I'm a Funding Strategies Manager here at BKF Engineers. I'm also a lead grant writer And my position and my role is to fund critical community infrastructure projects.
And I'm Doug Fleming, and I'm honored to serve as the Director of Funding Strategies for BKF Engineers. I'm also proud to be serving as the mayor of Nevada City, California. Before we begin, let's kick it off with a little attempt at humor from our future AI overlord, ChatGPT. All right, so why don't scientists trust atoms? Anybody? Bueller? Anyone? Because they make everything up. Wah, wah. All right. See, I told you. Well, just like atoms, BKF makes up the fabric of its communities by weaving together innovative engineering, sustainable infrastructure, and strategic funding. I just have to say that Marley and I are really honored to join you all today in celebrating the 70th and this THRED talk. We were just delighted when we got asked to speak, so this is wonderful. Now let us take a moment to acknowledge the profound legacy of BKF engineers, a pillar of the SAMCEDA community with over a century of dedicated infrastructure development. BKF has stood shoulder to shoulder with SAMCEDA since its inception in 1953, bringing unparalleled engineering and surveying expertise to this partnership. BKF has been a mainstay of Redwood City since 1915, with over 500 employees in 16 West Coast offices. Our work is not just about building infrastructure, it's about shaping our communities, enhancing the places where we live, work, and grow. Our commitment doesn't stop there. A few years ago, BKF engineers recognized a critical need in our community, a need for funding and resource development to bring important projects to life. So in the true spirit of innovation and service, we expanded our offerings to include a comprehensive suite of grant writing and grant management services. So this new venture embodies our unwavering commitment to supporting our communities, ensuring that no project lacks funding it needs to make a difference in the lives of our families. Now we are not just designing and building, we are funding and curating vibrant communities. We actively engage in local economic development projects and support important organizations like SAMCEDA. It demonstrates how businesses can go beyond their primary commercial interests to positively impact their communities. BKF also encourages public service. So many of us serve on chamber boards, councils, commissions, and by serving as mayor, I'm able to leverage all the resources I learned in that capacity to help other cities we serve so they can all become truly vibrant and resilient communities. Marley, take it away.
Thanks, Doug. Just to back up a little bit, Doug and I were thrilled to seize the opportunity to join this exceptional firm that shares our deep passion and our commitment to serving communities and our most vulnerable members of the community. With over 100 years of collective local, federal, and government experience, we possess a unique skill set that sets us apart in terms of grant funding. And I know that's a little bit of a mouthful, so I'll explain that real quickly. In response to the massive amounts of infrastructure funding that's coming out of Washington right now, BKF wanted to ensure that we're able to capture all of that money and that we're able to strategically place that money with projects when that comes up. And let me tell you, if you're halfway through a project and you start running out of money, I can tell you that gap funding is very important. It's with this type of forward-thinking and comprehensive approach towards, towards community strategies that allowed us to fund over $250 million towards important community initiatives. We don't just offer infrastructure funding, though. Last year for Christmas, we decided to offer pro bono services to a number of different nonprofit organizations around the Bay Area. This was incredibly helpful for them, of course, but also it was really exciting for us. And my colleague Chelsea and I, we had the opportunity to do a deep dive into these nonprofit organizations and learn about the incredible work that they're doing and what they're offering to our communities. It's through our grant writing and funding strategy efforts that we witness firsthand the impact that a well-funded project has on a community, on a town, on a city, and a state. from creating safe routes to school for all of our children, to funding wildfire mitigation strategies, which is important for us where we live up near Tahoe, to supporting carbon emission reduction. Our work directly supports and impacts the communities that we serve. By securing grant funding, we empower organizations to tackle critical infrastructure initiatives. We allow them to support affordable housing initiatives, education, and of course, social justice, which is very important. Witnessing the positive ripple effects of our work is what drives our passion for engineering and grant writing through the San Mateo County and beyond. So thank you so much for having us today. We're honored to be here, and hopefully we'll see you at the reception afterwards.
Thank you.
Folks, am I going to have to maybe encourage you to show a little more love for our speakers, please? Doug and Marley. I know this crowd a little bit. I'm used to seeing you at events, so I know you have it in you to cheer. And don't worry, the Dragons will be back on later, so if you hear them, they're coming on for the party. I'd like to introduce our next speaker, who is really a man that needs no introduction, but I'm going to give him one anyhow. He is kind, he is compassionate, he works for the small businesses in our community. Tim Russell and Renaissance Entrepreneurship Center.
I'm very glad to be here. I accomplished the task of not falling coming up the steps, so yes. I am honored and have been honored since the moment Rosanne called me, because SAMCEDA is not just someone that we see as doing great work in the county. They're change makers and change agents, and they're partners of ours. And throughout the crowd here, there's some Renaissance folks that are here, and we are just so honored to be a part of your team and partnering with you. So let's give SAMCEDA a hand there. I'm with Renaissance Entrepreneurship Center, and I've been with them for 11 years, and I've been given the task to oversee the county of San Mateo and other counties in what we call transforming lives through entrepreneurship. Our CEO, Mueller, coined a phrase years ago that says, we help people turn passion to profit. So if you hear that, remember, she started that. No one else did. She did that. We want to make sure individuals have all the tools that they need in order to be successful, because as you know, it's hard out there. It's hard. It's not easy. It's given me a new insight on when I walk into a restaurant to make sure I tip appropriately. When I walk into a business to make sure I say hello to somebody, because it's not easy. And sometimes we take that for granted. And for 38 years, Renaissance has been helping individuals literally start and grow their business. And we haven't even scraped or done anything yet. And with our team, we're going to continue to do even greater things. And I'm so excited about what we're going to do. But I want to highlight an entrepreneur today. They're no longer here on this earth, but I'm standing here because of them. And in that, you'll see my story. I'll talk about my mother. She was a little woman, 4'11". And she says, but I'm a little piece of leather, but I'm well put together. And what she decided was she was going to instill in me resiliency. And she said, The reason why I'm doing that is because you have a purpose, Tim, and your purpose is to help others be resilient. Because starting is hard, but finishing is even harder. And so many small businesses and so many individuals have started but have not finished, because those are two of the hardest things to do, start and finish. I was at Humboldt State and leaving school here in the Bay Area. I thought I was a little star, and I thought I was the man, and I'm going there to play college football. And I remember when I got there thinking I was the star, I realized that everybody on the field was a star. And I wasn't used to having that kind of competition. I was used to running by people and waving at as I ran by. Now there's 6'9", 280 people that are catching me and saying, "Where are you going?" And I remember coming, and back then it was payphones. I don't want to age myself, but it was payphones. And I remember getting to a payphone, and I got on the phone and I called my mom. And I remember this conversation. It was so profound. I called her up and I was crying, and I said, Mama, I just want to come home. And I began to tell her what I was dealing with, and she said, nothing. Eventually, because normally when you're talking to somebody, you hear, yes, mm-hmm, mm-hmm. I didn't hear anything. But eventually I heard a dial tone. So, payphones act up. So what I quickly did was, put some more coins in there and called her right back. I said, Mom, I don't know what you missed, but we got disconnected. I'm just ready to come home, And she said, no, we didn't get disconnected. I said, what happened? She said, I hung up. I said, what do you mean you hung up? She said, I didn't raise a punk. My tears instantly dried up. I said, what do you mean, Mom? She says, listen, I didn't raise you to quit. I raised you to understand that it's going to be hard. And no matter how hard it is, you can make it. So she said this, you can come back to the Bay Area, but you can't come back here. So if you have a couch you can sleep on or wherever you can sleep, go sleep there, because I don't know if I could look at you if every day knowing that I poured so many years into building you up so that you wouldn't quit, to see that you quit. Well, that helped shape me. That helped me get back out there on the field and do what I needed to do. It helped me when I came out of school to continue to do what I needed to do. Help people transform their lives. I feel like Renaissance and other things that I'm a part of have given me the tools where I can reach into my bag and say, what do you need? Do you need marketing help? Do you need financial help? Do you need systems? And do you need to meet one of our staff members that can show you what resiliency looks like? Whatever it is, I feel like I'm filled with bags. And I really want to thank all the partners that are here, from the county to SAMCEDA to different ones, the cities. I saw Nell from South City here, Melvin from East Palo Alto. It's just so many people that have come alongside of us to help us do what we do, transform lives. We're going to continue to do it. Why? Because all of us here are individuals that are change makers. Whether we like it or not, we've been called to that task. That's who I am. When somebody says, who are you? I'm a servant. I serve people. How do you serve them? By helping them change the landscape of their lives. By helping them understand that they can make it. I don't care what it feels like. If it's water in the ship, let's get a bucket and start getting the water out. If you need to row it, I'm here to help you row. Whatever it is, we're here to help you succeed. Why? Because I'm the son of an entrepreneur. I'm the son of someone who took something and built it into a business and was able to move from a garage that she had made into a 2-bedroom home for her and her kids and buy her first home. It can happen, but it first starts with you. So as I close, the the thing that I want you to do every single morning, because we're real good at telling everybody else they look good and you can make it and you can do it. But every single morning I want you to look in the mirror and I want you to celebrate yourself. And I want you to encourage yourself and I want you to tell yourself you can make it. You have the tools, you have the partners, you have what is needed. And if you don't, leave that house determined to get who you need in your life that's going to help you start and finish what you've always desired to do. Thank you, change makers, for being a part of my life.
That's the power of believing. BKF, a business helping other businesses. Renaissance Entrepreneurship Center, helping more businesses and nonprofits and people. They believe. There's hope. And one of the challenges that we are facing as a county and as a nation is youth mental health. Our students and our young people are hurting. And our next speakers, Dr. Steve Adelsheim and Christine Zhao, are going to tell us how they are making a difference in the youth mental health space. Let's give it up for our next speakers.
All right. Tim, let me just say as we're getting started, you know, our goal is to be like your mom and to help build resiliency and support resiliency in all the youth here and everywhere we can. My name's Steve Adelsheim. I'm a child psychiatrist. I'm the director of the Stanford Center for Youth Mental Health and Wellbeing. And beside me is...
Hi everyone, I'm Christine. I'm a current high school junior and I'm a part of the San Mateo Alcove YAG, or Youth Advisory Group.
All right. We want to thank you so much for the opportunity to speak with you today. I want to first acknowledge my colleague and good friend, Sherri for her wonderful support of all of our efforts. Sherri, you've been an amazing advocate for youth mental health. We're really grateful for your wisdom and your guidance in helping us develop mental health supports for young people and families locally, across the state, and across the nation as a whole. Thank you so much. I want to make 3 points before I hand things over to Christine, our wonderful Alcove San Mateo Youth Advisory Group member, so she can tell you the real reasons why Alcove centers are so important. The first point is an area where we need your help, addressing mental health stigma, which some people also call mental health discrimination. While the discussion of the youth mental health crisis is currently a hot topic around the country, those of us in the field knew we had a crisis in youth mental health a long time ago. While mental health issues are present in all of our families, I can ask here who has high blood pressure or who has diabetes, but I cannot ask you to raise your hand if in fact you have a mental illness. But please raise your hand now if someone in your family within one generation has a mental health issue. Right, thank you. It's all of us. We're very good now at quoting the data that says that half of all mental health issues start by the age of 14, but we have yet to create the systems we need for young people to access the early mental health care that they need. And as you can see from the graph above, the most common health concerns of young people between the ages of 10 and 30 are mental health related issues. All of us are facing these issues in our families, and all of us must advocate together to get equitable resources to expand access to mental health care for all of our young people. Second point, why Alcove programs? We know that early intervention works just as well for mental health as it does for any other medical issue. Even for people with early warning signs of psychotic illness, early treatment can prevent or delay the onset of a first episode of psychosis. And we know that the shorter the time from onset of psychosis to treatment has a huge impact even 10 or 15 years later. Before I worked in early psychosis programs, I spent many years doing school mental health work in school-based health centers. I appreciate school-based health centers because they are places with co-located primary care and mental health services, creating a waiting room that is not just like a mental health clinic. Often young people are more comfortable coming in initially for a physical complaint, which emerges into an underlying mental health issue by the second or third visit. Then it is an easy, warm handoff across the hall to the mental health provider. Working in school-based health centers allowed me to meet with young people when problems were just beginning and access was easy. I was able to support young people with early signs of depression or anxiety before symptoms became severe. I was also able to identify students with more severe symptoms early, such as the 6th grade student who was having conversations with the skeleton in the back of his classroom for a long time before anyone realized he wasn't just talking to himself. But school mental health has issues too. Some students are afraid the information they share will get to their parents without their consent. And others don't want to share their mental health issues with the person who is writing their letter for college. Some students get suspended or expelled. Others drop out. And there are summer vacations. And then there was the time the principal kicked me out of a school for advocating too adamantly for special ed supports for a student with whom I was working. About 11 years ago, I began to search for other places in the community, in addition to schools and early psychosis programs, to help young people get support. I learned about this program called Headspace in Australia, which provides standalone clinics for young people 12 to 25 to come in on their own or with a friend for early mental health care. Headspace centers also have primary care, supported education, employment, early substance use treatment, and peer support. Headspace was having great success with young people and their families, and now number 150 centers across Australia, a country half the population of California. And they have active youth advisory groups to help guide the services and staff, ensuring the centers meet the needs of local youth. Headspace became the core model for our allcove centers and have led to similar models like Jigsaw in Ireland, Foundry in British Columbia, and other programs across the world. After a feasibility study, county supervisor support, county behavioral health leadership, and major community commitment, after several youth mental health crises, we were able to open the first allcove centers in Santa Clara County in June of 2021. We are on our way now to opening 5 centers across the state, with the next one in San Mateo, hopefully opening before the end of the year. The state will soon be providing additional funding to open 5 more, and we are hoping one will be Coastside, where I live, because the mental health needs of young people over the hill are currently critical. We are excited to be creating this continuum of early mental health care by supporting allcove development centers and linking them to both school mental health and early psychosis programs, which takes me to my third point, the importance of listening to our young people. Each allcove center has a youth advisory group, or YAG, that is made up of local young people that reflect the diversity of each community. Our original YAG selected the name allcove, developed the space design, and made decisions about allcove core services. The current YAGs guide each center through planning to opening with their local youth leaders and with the central allcove team support. YAG participation has even become a pathway to leadership and career development. Many former YAG members have gone into health careers, some becoming peer specialists in allcove programs. Our youth are wise. We need to listen to them. We need to learn from them and have them guide the services and programs meant for them. So let's now hear from Christine from the allcove San Mateo YAG.
Thank you for the introduction, Steve. I'm very honored and excited to be sharing my story. It was at the beginning of sophomore year when we first transitioned out of hybrid school. I was going through a really rocky period in my life. I realized I needed help, but the fear of judgment and invalidation hindered me from reaching out. I thought that my issues weren't big enough to warrant support. I thought maybe if I ignored it, it would go away. It didn't. I mustered up the courage to ask for therapy eventually, but it needed to get to a really low point for my parents to understand the need. And it took a few more months after that to book my first therapy appointment. We were met with a mixture of overbooked therapists, insurance troubles, and incompatibility with school. In the midst of this, I discovered allcove. My friend, who had seen me struggle increasingly, had seen an allcove booth at the local Palo Alto Public Library. She knew that I needed help, so when she told me about it, it seemed too good to be true. Somewhere judgment-free, cost-free, and parent-free. I began looking more into allcove, and the more I learned about it, the more I became excited about this model of mental health care. I thought, if I had known about it and accessed it sooner, my mental health wouldn't have reached such a low point. I saw the need for it in my community too. My school has an overwhelming need for more counselors. There's one counselor available for just under 500 people. It's difficult to get an appointment, and even if you get an appointment, you worry about how confidential it is to other members of the school community. allcove offers a space away from school that allows you to access these services with a lot more trust and comfort. Coming out of the pandemic, I've also witnessed the rapid decline of some of my other friends' mental health, and I felt powerless. I wish I could have been able to say, I know a place where you can get help. It's a mental health center designed by youth for youth, and it acknowledges that you deserve support no matter where you are on the mental health continuum. Now I can. Youth voice is really crucial in allcove's development because as much as we appreciate the support from adult allies, there are some things that they miss when they design something for a different audience. allcove allows the youth being served to provide input on everything, ranging from its name to its interior design to its service streams. Local YAG, or youth advisory groups, representative of diverse communities, also allow us to design centers unique to local and diverse needs. There is no one-size-fits-all solution to mental health. So many problems plague youth today, and allcove addresses some of these through its other service streams. In addition to mental health, there are also physical health, education and employment, substance use, and family support services. These integrated services also serve as an introduction to other streams, destigmatizing and normalizing the act of seeking for help. Seeing other young people at allcove also shows them that they are not alone. During the spring of last year, I joined the allcove San Mateo Youth Advisory Group. We've been working on a variety of projects, including interior design, and most recently, planning the opening of our very own center here in San Mateo. Even the selection of this location involved youth. By design, it's located near the Caltrain to allow students from all over the Bay Area to access it. Even aspects, from every aspect of our center is designed intentionally, from the colorful furniture, which makes it seem less like a clinical setting, to the moment of pause, which invites youth to center themselves before seeking emotionally intense services. Alcove is an embodiment of what we envision for youth. Not only do I feel a sense of agency in creating something that so many other youth will be able to benefit from, I have also found such solidarity with my peers on the Alcove YAG. I've met so many amazing people through the YAG, and we are all bonded by the passion for mental health advocacy. I feel very lucky to be able to work on something like this for other youth. My hope is that every youth feels empowered to seek out the support they need, and especially early on, because before it requires more intense forms of treatment. Alcove brings us one step closer to that goal. Thank you.
Great job. Thank you.
How many of you at 17 could stand up and do what Christine just did? I was seeing, and I call him Dr. Steve, smiling at Christine as she was talking. And the pride. Christine, I am really not worried about our future with young people like you. Thank you. So our next topic that we're going to cover is our Coastside. And the woman that I am going to bring up, I heard at a recent Silicon Valley Community Foundation event where she spoke in front of a group of probably, I'm guessing, some of the wealthiest and most influential people in this region. She told her story. The tears were literally streaming down my face. And I called Judith Guerrero with Coastside Hope. And I said, Judith, will you please come and do a THRED talk? Folks, Judith Guerrero and Coastside Hope.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for being here. When Rosanne called and said that I would be talking to 200 people, I hesitated. But she said you would be talking to 200 people who are friendly. And I did see a lot of familiar faces before getting up here. But I'm still nervous. This is the first time I speak to this many people. And one of my characteristics is to be introverted. So this is a little hard for me, but here we go. You would think that it would be easier to come up here and tell you my story, and I rewrote what I'm going to talk about 5 times. And I made my staff listen to what I was saying to make sure that it made sense. But I'm going to share with you how my community and the organization that I work for have shaped who I am and have given me the ability to pay it forward. To tell you about my community, as Rosanne mentioned, I do not only work in the coast, but I also live on the coast. And I moved to the coast when I was 11 years old. Don't do the math, because I'm past the time that you ask how old I am. And we moved to the coast. My family are farm workers. My grandparents were farm workers, and my mom still remains working on the farms until today. Half Bay is a beautiful community, and I think we all go and love the beaches. But there's a lot of underneath, besides and beneath the community that you don't always get to see. And I do get to see that on a daily basis with the work that I do at Coastside Hope. Beneath the beautiful beaches and the great dining options, we have a troubled economy. The coast lacks economic diversity. We depend on tourism, agriculture, fishing. All these industries were heavily affected during the pandemic during the natural disasters, and lately, what I call man-made disasters, which is gun violence. According to the most recent data from the census, in order to survive in San Mateo County, a family of 4 must earn $150,000. I would be safe to say that that's not the case in my community. My community members are either struggling to make a living or living in poverty by San Mateo County standards. It was during these past 4 years that I've been serving as an executive director of this organization that I had the ability to pay it forward. And you'll get to hear a little bit about how I'm getting it to pay it forward, thanks to Coastside Hope as well. My role at Coastside Hope allowed me to be part of the solution during the pandemic, a support system during the fires, and a member of the support system for all the organizations that were providing assistance to the farm workers that were affected by the tragedy. For those of you who don't know much about Coastside Hope, we are one of the core agencies. Hopefully you do know a lot about the core agencies because there's 8 of us. We serve what the county has designated as the mid-coast. Our mission is to provide necessities to enhance the quality of life for all of our neighbors. On a daily basis, we provide rental assistance, utilities assistance, food. We have a very small pantry, but it serves our community, and case management for the various complex needs of our community. In September of this year, I will be celebrating 10 years of working in the nonprofit world. I can easily tell you that the past 4 years have been the most impactful and the most rewarding in my career. During the pandemic, I managed to encourage or force or ask, whatever you want to call it, my team to keep our doors open. And when I mean our doors open, I mean literally open. We didn't close during the pandemic. We were in our offices every day because we understood that our community would not be able to work in the technology world. And there's a lot of challenges that the coast still faces when it comes to technology. We still have internet outages for more than a day. We, as I mentioned, during the fires, we were also able to provide support system to our sister agency on the South Coast, which is Puente. With a small team, Coastside Hope serves 3,500 individuals every fiscal year. I take great pride in being part of a team member at Coastside Hope, because Coastside Hope has given me more than a job for the last 4 years. At some point, they provided services for my mother and my grandparents. And when I graduated from high school, they gave me a scholarship to attend college. It was a $5,000 scholarship, and at that point, college was a lot more affordable. Again, don't do the math. Thanks to the scholarship and the values that my mother instilled in me, which I think she was friends with Tim's mom, I was able to excel educationally and professionally. I am the first one in my family to achieve higher education and the first one in my family to hold a leadership position in an organization. Every time my team opens the doors, we provide opportunities of growth for our community. Why does my story matter, and why should it matter to you? Well, it should matter because Coastside Hope and the Coastside are a big part of San Mateo County. And in order for San Mateo County to thrive and survive, we need everyone. And as I end, and as I was reflecting, I thought, what are some of the concepts that I would want to show with my story, with the work that I do in my community? And the word resiliency, community, and paying it forward came to mind. I'm very thankful that Coastside Hope was there when my family needed it, and was there when I wanted to go to college and didn't know what I wanted to be when I grew up. And now I get the opportunity to do that for everyone else in our community, and hopefully encourage more of the youth in our community to do the same. Thank you.
I love SAMCEDA because it is an event like this that can shine the light on so many in our community that perhaps some of us may not be aware of. So let's give it up for Judith again. Prior to the closing THRED talk, I would actually like, because they came back from Sacramento to be here today, I'd like to invite up our state senator, Josh Becker, and our state assemblywoman, Diane Pappin, along with Sherri Sager and Ariane Hogan, to the podium.
Yeah. Well, thank you. Yeah, I was not going to miss this, and I can say the same for Diane. We were not going to miss this, and tried not to break too many of our traffic laws on the way down here from Sacramento. But we were definitely not going to miss this opportunity to congratulate this organization, congratulate all of you, congratulate Rosanne and the board for just the incredible work and the incredible contributions of SAMCEDA to our community for the last 70 years. You know, there's no sector of our economy, from healthcare to technologies, no sector of our kind of civic life, from economic development to workforce development to education, that SAMCEDA doesn't touch. And it, you know, and before I was running for this job, and as soon as I got this job, I realized even more so how important SAMCEDA is to this region. And we saw that during COVID, when I started right in the middle of COVID, and we saw the role that SAMCEDA played, rallying the community, building the San Mateo County Strong Fund, and just being that one-stop shop, that one point of entry for everyone, whether it's health-related, whether it's economic recovery-related. SAMCEDA was there. And that's why I'm really excited to be here. Let me introduce, we'll let Diane speak on her own behalf, and then we'll do a little presentation.
Certainly. Thank you, Josh. So I'm delighted to be here. Obviously, SAMCEDA is hugely important to our community. And the one thing, I would echo your remarks, and I would just add to them in this regard. During COVID, not only did you exhibit Herculean efforts to keep our community going, but, and I know I said this at our city council when you came, Rosanne, before as well, and that is that you hit a certain tone, and that tone spoke of hope. And it was a time when we needed a lot of hope. So I am so eternally grateful to SAMCEDA. I'm grateful to your voice and what you gave this community during a time that I think was so uncertain for all of us. So from the bottom of my heart, I couldn't be more grateful for the hope that you gave us. So let's bring on the resolution, Senator.
All right. If you read the beginning. All right. Whereas the San Mateo County Economic Development Association is celebrating its 70th anniversary, and it is appropriate at this time to highlight its many achievements and underscore the positive impact it has made in the greater San Mateo County community. How much of these do we want to read? There's a lot of impact.
A lot of whereases that you are marvelous.
That you are marvelous.
There we go. We'll sum it up.
I'll just say the last one I'm going to say here. A staunch advocate for the local education system, SAMCEDA supported the Big Lift, a countywide initiative led by the San Mateo County Office of Education to increase reading proficiency of students by the 3rd grade. Its membership with Notre Dame and partnered with the Skyline College for the annual Success Summit, which highlights the importance of the business community in northern San Mateo County, includes topics such as affordable higher education, transportation, and housing. There's a lot in the middle there. So, but with that resolved, this is for myself, Scott Wiener, and Assembly members Mark Berman, Diane Pappin, and Phil Ting, that SAMCEDA, on its celebration of its 70th anniversary, commended for the vital role it has played in improving the quality of life in the greater San Mateo County community, and extended best wishes for continued success in the future. On behalf of all of us, we present this to you.
I don't think sometimes we celebrate or appreciate our elected officials as much as we can. We sure can give them grief. We can call them up. We can post nasty things on Twitter. We can do a whole host of things. But today, in this moment, on this stage, I salute every elected official in this room, and I want all of you to as well. So folks, I am your final THRED Talk speaker because there is absolutely no way that I was going to reflect back on this moment and not share with you this journey. As you can imagine, preparing for a SAMCEDA THRED Talk, highlighting a 70-year history is no easy task. Let me begin the story and take you back to 1953 and share a couple of interesting facts. Dwight Eisenhower became the 34th president of the US. Earl Warren was the governor of California and later our Chief Justice of the Supreme Court. Our county manager, anyone want to call out a name? Anyone remember E.J. Stallings? He was our county manager. Singing in the Rain and The Wild One were in theaters, and The Crucible was on Broadway. And guess what? 71% of all TV sets in the United States were tuned into in January of 1953. The I Love Lucy episode where she gave birth to little Ricky. And guess who won the World Series? The New York Yankees. Do we have Yankees fans in the house? I grew up a Yankees fan, okay, so cut me a little slack, folks. The first Chevrolet Corvette was built on June 30th of 1953. The first draft of Fahrenheit 451 was written by Ray Bradbury. And the music scene leaders, who were they? The Dominoes, Frank Sinatra, Les Paul, and Mary Ford, Nat King Cole and Patti Page, and the incomparable Tony Bennett. And in the San Mateo County Times, on June 15th, 1953, the day of SAMCEDA's incorporation, the following could be found. Gotta love these news archives that appear online. You can search everything. A meeting to discuss unifying 30 school districts across the county, elementary, high school, and junior college. Sound familiar, folks? Garden club happenings, graduation announcements, ads for everything from cars to corsets. Ben Hogan, famous golfer, was hinting at retirement. Land use was and still is an issue, and San Francisco was and still is trying to come into San Mateo County. We love San Francisco, folks, but we do have to give them a hard time. Fast forward 70 years, and now we have phones that double as cameras, healthcare delivered via your computer screen, same-day delivery of pretty much anything you could ever want, and Chat GPT that could write a THRED Talk. Albeit not as good as any of our speakers, I want to say that, but it's out there. By this point, you should be asking, how does this relate to SAMCEDA? Where's she going? It is about the willingness, the ability, the desire, and the fortitude to embrace change. To meet the moment, which we and our members and partners do every day. It's about taking that call from Mike Callaghy, our county manager, in March of 2020, and swiveling to ensure our businesses and our communities would have the tools and resources needed to survive. Let's give a shout out to our county manager and his whole team. It is about living and enhancing the legacy of this organization and its founders. These were the original innovators and entrepreneurs in the Bay Area. They were business and community leaders who envisioned San Mateo County as a place to, and I'm quoting now from our Articles of Incorporation, to develop cooperation and unified action in commercial, industrial, civic, and cultural fields in San Mateo County particularly, and that San Francisco Bay generally, to promote the general welfare of the area. And it is where SAMCEDA is today and will be tomorrow. We celebrate the yin and yang of business and community. Without a strong business foundation, you won't have a strong community. Without a strong community, you won't have a strong economy. It is being willing to say what needs to be said, to do what needs to be done, and at the end of the day, to create more opportunities, more connections, and ultimately a place we can all be proud of. It is about embodying the phrase you have seen and heard often from SAMCEDA in the last decade. Business is good and business brings opportunity, and all that that encompasses. For SAMCEDA, business takes many forms. It isn't just one company, one industry, or one individual. It is the collective wisdom and the foundations of many. Nuts for Candy on Broadway in Burlingame, Granite Rock in Redwood City, Blossoms and Botanicals at Hillsdale Shopping Mall, who are our florists for today. It is Meta, Google, Genentech, and our Daly City Cookie Company. Make sure you get your cookies, folks. It is our healthcare providers. It is Packard and Stanford and Kaiser and Sequoia and Sutter and all of them collectively. Stanford Health, I mean, it is all of them. It is the shops along Main Street in Half Moon Bay. It is our chambers. Shout out to our chambers of commerce. Our nonprofits, our labor partners, our agricultural community, and the San Mateo County Event Center, who during the middle of the San Mateo County Fair agreed to put on this event for us, San Mateo County Event Center. It is all the small businesses that make up this county fair, and every business in between, including small, large, immigrant, veteran, minority, LGBTQ, and family-owned. I am humbled and proud to lead SAMCEDA and reflect on that day 15 years ago next month when I began this journey. The weight of SAMCEDA's legacy is always on my mind, and it guides me and the organization in all that we do. SAMCEDA's story isn't finished, and tomorrow will bring new paths for us to forge and new challenges for us to solve. I hope each and every one of you will join us in the next chapter as the possibilities are endless. And now, it's time to celebrate. Thank you. So, in order to celebrate, I want to point out a few things. Oh, we have light. We have great food, we have great wine, we have the SAMCEDA Sunrise cocktail. We have the dragon exhibit, which you heard a little bit about, but it'll be open, and they're animatronic. I have a hard time with that word. They move and talk. So go in and enjoy the dragon exhibit. The Cesar Chavez exhibit will be open. The Black History Museum exhibit is 2 buildings over if anyone is interested. The butterfly exhibit. Folks, you can go in and take a sugar stick and the butterflies will light on you. We have the photo booth, the cotton candy, and now it's time for everyone to enjoy. I am grateful and thankful for all of you to be here. Please eat and enjoy and celebrate. Thank you. And can I ask too, can I get the SAMCEDA Board of Directors up here, our speakers, so we can take a few pictures? And everyone can start on the libations. Somebody save me a SAMCEDA sunrise cocktail.